kind of look through there, and if you pay attention to this, you'll get the logic on how it works. I kind of studied it for a while and do it. So the key one's down here at the bottom. It did all of that. You see, it said built for train 80, golden car, ethanols, whatever. Took 1,258 milliseconds. It made all those moves. So you came up with, and it checked all those places. See, it virtually goes through every car and every location, every place that train's going, and figures out where they can do it to come up with this. So when the train is built at Junction Industrial, it picks up all these cars out of that yard. And it tells you over here on the end where they're going. When you use Manifest Creator, which I'm not going to get into, you can have these come out track order. It'll tell you how to block them. For all you people who want to block your trains, there's your blocking right there. That's kind of like the Fram oil filter. Pay me now, pay me later. You can block them to begin with or block them later, whatever, somewhere later. So the train goes from Golden Industrial. It doesn't have any work at Rockridge because Rockridge doesn't have any ethanol or grain elevators. So then it's going to stop at the New River Mine. And the New River Mine, believe it or not, happens to have the ADM grain elevator there at that location. So it's going to work there. It's going to bypass Silverville on this way through because it's going to go up above and take the branch line to go to the ethanol plant, which is at Apex Industrial. Then it goes to Tolan, and then Fuelish Chemicals, Cargill, Tolan, back, it's turned now and it's coming back. Tolan, work at Apex Industrial, and then you see places like here, and it goes past Silverville. It has no work there. Again, we don't have any work coming back at the New River Mine because we're now going to be on an opposing switch, so it would have to do a runaround. So we're not going to be picking up things. Rockridge, again, no ethanol cars, so it just passes through, and it goes back to Golden Industrial, and it puts all those cars back in the yard. Those are not the cars it left with. Let alone, I will tell you, I do have certain boxes checked. So this was a preview. Now you can go right here and print that preview out, or you can go down here, the bottom, and you can change it, click the preview off, and then you have the box goes to print. If you click print, you will get a printed manifest. Tools, manifest print options. We're up here at the top now. Tools, manifest print options. Okay. Oh, I downloaded a new program. Let's see something. By the way, when you go to manifest print options, you need to come over here and click sort by track. Okay. If you're using tracks in the yard like I am, this makes life a lot simpler as far as looking at the manifest. Okay. When I do my manifest creator, that comes out with the loop on it. Comes out with a logo on it, loop on it. Jesus, I'm talking too long here. Print value location drops. I'm looking here because they changed something. You can set what lines you want printed out. Okay, color, model. You've got all kind of little options to make this come up. Pick up. What do you want printed out? Biggest thing I can tell you here, you're going to find out real quick to keep all the names short. Otherwise, you're going to have things wrapping, and you don't want them more than one line. locations, destinations, color, pickups, setouts, moves, so forth. Monospaced. I'm looking for one. Go portrait or landscape. I went landscape because it stopped some of the wrapping. And you have a couple of different print types to pick from. You can increase the size of the print up to 14, but you start doing that, you're going to be wrapping a lot. You can get into your colors and so forth. Now, I want to hit save because I did put that sort by track. Tab length, you can set that. That's all right, that's fine. I was looking, print as manifest. Okay, so we saved that. Now, if I go down here now and I click print, we're going to get a printed copy out, and you see it comes up here. Now, the other thing that's happened here, and I'll go ahead and print this out. We've also now, because we've created thing, we've generated a switch list. Okay, now I can hit switch list. I have switch lists generated for the towns that are checked. It's basically the ones that have, oh, I don't need one for here, there ain't no. Rockridge, these are new places we added. I need to take them all. XXX got it. All right, so these places, Apex, Rockridge, Silverville, Tolan, all have yards, so we would have a switch list. Now we're going to go down here to preview switch list, and you didn't see it, or you might have, but you had to be quick. There's actually 4 switch lists. There, one for each one of those towns. So that train, one train generated that work for all my town operators. It's their job's to pull the cars and set them out if they're on the toes. So this is the switch list that gets generated by doing it. There's a couple of issues with switch lists that you kind of have to get used to, because sometimes during a session you get into issues with down here real time, and you add trains during a session. You may run a bunch of trains, terminate them so the cars become available again, and then start building new trains, and then you're going to be adding on to the switch list. So you got update switch list, and then you can print out just the ones you've added on. I got to tell you, you got to practice on that one a little bit, okay? So while we were talking there, the manifest for this train printed out, and you can see it even neatly puts my logo on it. And this is done landscape. You can do it portrait, and then you have each page as you go. I like this now because it does at least spaces it out, and each location, it gives you the pickups and setouts in 2 different colors. The blues, the pickups, and the SOs are the black. It helps from that standpoint. And then now this is one of the longer trains. In a normal operating session on this railroad, I've had most operators, this is their job for the day, Usually takes anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours to get it done. Some of the better operators maybe get this done and then run something else, but time they stop and eat and do the crew lounge discussion group, it doesn't get much further. So anyway, that's what a manifest looks like. We're going to cover adding a train now. We've talked about trains, showed you some of mine, but down here at the bottom of the trains, this is my train sheet. Yours, if it's the first one you're going to do, that sheet's going to be blank. So I'm going to click add, and you're going to get the, now let's pan out here, this looking sheet right here. And you're going to go up here and you're going to give it a name. And we'll just call this TR, for the old sake of it, XXX. And then you're going to come over here and give it a description. You know, X to Y. Well, we got T. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to click add train. Then all of your car types come available. Most of the cases you're going to probably click clear all and then go through and select what the train can carry. If it's a manifest freight going across the railroad and it handles everything, then you can go hit select all. If it's a train like my ethanol and grain train, then you're going to select 2 cars. So that's basically what you want to do. Then you're going to go up here and you're going to find the route that you built for the train. And you're going to select that route. Say 102 Junction to Golden. Okay? So now, and then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to go over here and save the train. It'll add it to the route. You can also check where the train is going on the routes up here and the various locations it's going to stop at. So that's adding the train. This part is pretty simple and straightforward. The biggest thing you have to do here is decide, because you already built the route, you kind of got the train in mind what it's going to do, is putting what cars it'll handle. If it's a limited train and it's going to limited stops, you only really want it carrying the cars and building out with what it'll handle. Sometimes you get into this, these are trains that you're going to build out of a yard or a yard track, not necessarily come out of staging because you want specific cars. But again, this is a play with it with the program, and you can come up with, like I said, endless ideas to do this. So that's how you build the train or put the train in the system. Alright, some additional comments about trains. Up at the top under tools, you have various options, and one of them is under options is going to be, you click on options on the trains, and this will apply to all trains. I run my program in the aggressive mode when building trains. The computer will go back and second look and try to do things to make cars fit in, get greater activity. Then you come down here on the rest of these, and some of them are going to fit in your situation more than they may fit mine, and you'll have to, as time goes along, play with them. I don't have any situations where I allow interchange to interchange. Now, I do have a couple of places when I run a local, I do spur to spur moves. For the most part, I don't. But you can play with this one too, particularly with locals. So let's talk about a local. I have the town of Apex. It has a yard in it. It has about 19 spurs. So the manifest freights come in, pick up cars, drop off cars. So the next thing is those cars have to be moved to the industry. So you need to run the local. So you build a train with a route, and I'm going to get off of this right here for a second, and I'm going to go right up here, and I'm going to click on the Apex Local, and I'm going to hit the edit button. And I'm going to hit the edit route button, and you see right here, there's one location on the route, Apex. That's all there is. To run a local, there can only be one location, and everything that's in that location, the local will look at. So it's going to go to the location of Apex, and it's going to run the train. Now, that is where your comes into allow local moves. Right here. When you build the train, you click that build button on that Apex Local train, and you have allow local moves. In a situation like this, you could be cooking up a couple, 3 or 4 hours work for somebody. I've seen it happen on my layout. We did it once, and the sheet printed out for the Apex Local, and it had over 40 moves. So you might want to play with this one, allow local moves, particularly on a local, depending on size and quantity of your railroad. If you do, for example, on Apex, what it did, it took all the cars that would fit in them from the west side, it moved them down to the east side, and then it moved all the cars from the east side to the west side, and then it took some out the yard and it put some back in the yard. That might be fine. I don't know if it would generate that much today because I've gone in and set empties and loads. At the time I did that, I did not have that set, so it didn't care where, as long if it needed a box car, it didn't make any difference if it was empty or loaded, it just put it in there. So that wouldn't happen so much today. So that's something to think about. Yard to yard moves, that one you'll have to think about and how you could apply it. I don't have any situations like this. Now, staging. I don't do anything as far as restrictions. Everything that I don't have any restrictions on staging. Everything can go in and go out. All types, everything. Make departure tracks available when train is built. This becomes real important when you only have, say, 2 staging tracks and you want to build both trains. They're going to need a place to go to. You may even have to have a virtual track somewhere to get it started. It's going to look for a place to put the train back into. So you want to have that clicked so that even if the train hadn't left, that once you build it, the computer thinks it's empty and can send another train over there to fill it up. In my case, one of the things that happens is you have to build them in order. If you run an east train, then you have to do a west train, then an east, and a west, and an east, and a west in that order, or it won't function out correctly. Eventually it thinks something's full and it says build fail. Allow cars to return to staging, absolutely. Some cars will come out onto the railroad and go all the way across the railroad and never be dropped off and just go on and either continue on east or continue on west or north or south, whatever you do. Not unusual. Prompt for departure track on staging. These next two come into play on my layout where I have multiple staging tracks with multiple trains to choose from. Sometimes I'll sit there and I can also go look at the train sheet the last time a train ran and say it hadn't run in a while. Instead of running the train on track 1, we'll pick the one on track 2. Now, logging, routing, enable car routing via yards. I am not into any routing at this time, but I have these checked in case I do get into it. The logging options have to do with keeping track of it. It'll keep a log. So that I have them enabled. Not going to enable locomotives ever. because too many people bring their locomotives around here, so we're not going to keep up with locomotives. They want to bring their locomotives and run them fine. The other one is checking the CSV. That's the Manifest Creator program. I'm not going to talk about it, but you want to have these two checked. And you always want to hit the save button when you get finished. So that's that part of it. Now, if I go back, select the local, and I hit the edit button again, and I go up to the top, and now this is the Apex local, and I hit tools, train build options. This is on an individual train, not all trains. Right there at the top, let's say I clicked the build button on this thing and it failed. I reset it, and if you remember earlier in the video, you're going to get in a column, and I'll go show this over here in the reset column right here. You may get a thing that says reports. The train doesn't build, and you're going to get a thing here that says report. You can open up the bill reports, and you can do that, but to reset the train, that goes back to that button at the bottom of the remember I said about this is at the edit train window. You have the reset train. So if you get that report in that box, the thing that says report, the only way you're going to reset the train is click on that button. Alright, I'm sorry, went and closed that. Alright, so we've opened this back up, and we're going to go here to Tools, Train Build Options. And this is for the train. So if you get a failure and you want to see if it's a case of the trying to force cars in and it's failing, you can click the normal box, and then it'll make one pass through. You'll immediately notice you got a lot less work to do if it builds. Allow local moves when car has a custom load. Yeah, I don't have any custom loads, but I have it done. Allows cars to travel from origins to terminal. These are just things you can do with each one of the trains. Some of the trains, these options are different, so it doesn't hurt to sit there and check them out, and also try them with and without until you get the feeling of how they affect your train. There is just a ton of options in this. So anyway, that covers the part with trains and what you kind of have to look for in setting your options for each one of the trains. This concludes the clinic on getting started with JMRI operations. For all who participate in the clinic live, we thank you. For all those who watch this video going forward, comments will be appreciated. We will correct or add things if necessary, but this is a very deep and involved program. Our attempt today is to try to get people to a point where they can open the program and start making things happen. I thoroughly expect that people will see bill failures. Welcome you to join the JMRI group on the Yahoo JMRI User Group. And when you post your comments under the subject line, start it with ops. And your question, ops, bill failure, whatever you want to say, but just start it with ops. And someone will answer your question. The developer of the operations part, the key person, if he answers your question, is Dan Boudreau. So if you see Dan Boudreau's name on the thing, that's the person who probably knows more about this whole thing than anyone else. So if you got an idea and you wanted to find out if you want it'll work, post it up there, and I'm sure he will tell you in fairly short order what you need to do. And have fun running trains. This is going to be an appendix, and it's going to be right here in the beginning. I completed the 4 sections of this video on the basics of getting started with JMRI operations, and sent them on to the person who created the program, Dan Boudreau. Dan has come back and made a couple of points that I wanted to go back and cover. So as you go along and you see the videos, you see me come to certain sections, you will understand the points that I'm making that you may or may not, whatever the case may be, may or may not want to follow. And the first one Dan covers in one of his emails is the, as I think he quotes, pesky sheets. I'm going to bring one of these every time you start it, you're getting the setup sheets, preferences, up here at the top. He says to go to non-select here, do non-select as a manufacturer, and you got to hit save down at the bottom. Okay, and then you're going to get this restart Panel Pro, and you click here, and this should help us solve that issue. And we're going to be segmenting this to each one of his questions. Now, this, as you notice here, we're not getting any more preference pop-ups. So this is all we need, because we assume that you're not running this tied to a command station. So now when you start up, you get the operations and you can start your activity. Now, let me also say this. In no way does Dan Boudreau endorse this tape. He only made corrections to me, or points that may help you experience a little bit easier time doing this. This tape was done strictly by myself, and other than suggestions by Dan, is the only input from the JMRI developmental team. So just put that disclaimer in there. Post your questions on the Yahoo JMRI User Group page with questions about operations, and one of the people who is knowledgeable in the program will give you an answer. Moving ahead here. The next area which we want to cover here is to customize your appearance on your computer. You can go to Edit, Preferences, up here to Display, click on Display, and then you will see your choices. So if I were to go here and click Windows, and you get your font size if you want to make it bigger or larger. Okay, and you get that. So you're going to have to do the save routine again and restart, and you have to wait for it to come up with it. Now, you can see right away it changed. The headings changed. This is one which I think you might want to try a couple of variations and pick the one that looks best for you and what works best for you. But that's just another observation brought to our attention. The next point we want to cover here, and a couple of times during this presentation, I will refer to staging tracks. The railroad runs from staging to here You run trains into staging and so forth. You do not have to have staging tracks for this to work. You could have the town and have the tracks run from a yard in a town, interchange tracks out onto a branch, and you can build trains from that yard. It's not necessary to have a staging track. You can have a yard at the end of the railroad, run out of that yard, and then run back to that yard and keep building trains. And as we pointed out during the video, staging is a unique place anyway. So if you don't want to fool with staging tracks or try to add them to your layout or create them, it is not necessary to have staging to run the program. In the routes section, when you're building a route, I infer that a line in the routes here called wait will indicate that you would wait a car before a train picks it up. That was a rail option. That is not the case with JMRI operations. Wait will add time to the schedule. If you put 15 minutes, it'll add 15 minutes to the schedule. When you get into this program, you'll see that there is a built-in overall schedule that starts developing, and you can modify it. After I read Dan's comment on this, I immediately thought about this would be great for a route for a passenger train, where you want the passenger train to go to the depot, stop, and wait. And you know, a lot of us in modeling say, okay, you got to make a 5-minute stop or 10-minute stop or whatever. This would probably be a good example to use this column called wait. In conjunction with the statement about waits, we want to reinforce the fact that the move count is the way that the program picks cars. This way it ensures a random selection of the cars. As you move a car around the railroad, each time you build it up, build a train, move it, and then terminate, the move count goes up. So the program starts looking for cars that have the lower count. This almost absolutely ensures that you're going to get a different car. If you have 50 boxcars in your layout, or you have 10 different boxcars in your layout, depending on where they are, where the train's coming from, it's going to start looking for the lower counts. See, this way, and this is my comment, you do away with the full moves on a car cart. Okay? It's a random selection. It's going to move your cars all over the layout. You don't know what's going to happen. Dan makes the point about the Windows window. In this particular case is my edit train window here, and it's big. It's 25 inches across. Well, it's probably 23 inches across the screen. Just remember, if I resize this window like so, when I close the program, it will remember that size. So you can resize things as to how you want to. In this case, I just grabbed it on the corner. Oops, it went there. Got to get it back up here at the top. So you can change things to what size you want them and how. It's just a point that he made, because on my screen and in some of the video, it looks you're going to be moving your head back and forth, and I know for a programmer or somebody working with something, that's not desirable, because then you have to refocus. One more point, and I think that covers all the points that were made. So watch the video and enjoy, and I hope this helps get some people started on JMRI operations.